Kids, today we're going to talk about hallucinations and living with hallucinations. This is going to be one of, many in a series of talks on mental health. But lately, a lot of people coming into my orbit have been talking about they're having, they're being terrorized by hallucinations. They're having hallucinations for the first time. Their hallucinations are getting worse. Their hallucinations are getting stranger. So I'll go through a history of like my hallucinations, and you can compare with whatever you're experiencing and find out where you're at. Um, my advice is don't be scared. Even if it can touch you or scratch you or leave a bruise, that's all it's doing. It's leaving a bruise. It's not killing you. So um, don't freak out with your hallucinations. They can get physical. You can smell them, you can taste them, they can touch you, they can even scratch you or bruise you. You can see them, you can hear them, you can taste them, you can smell them. Hallucinations come in all forms. So, in my particular, with my particular story, my first hallucination or paranormal experience, depending on how you want to look at it, was when I was 9 and my great grandmother died. And she came to my room on the night she died and she gave me intuition. Now, it was weird. I was sleeping like every day in my bed and I felt somebody pull at my feet, like really hard, like aggressively pulling at my feet. So I woke up and I was like, what the hell? And there was this woman standing at the foot of my bed, which I didn't necessarily recognize right away because I don't think I'd ever seen her with her hair fully down. Her hair was down and she had really long gray hair, really, really long gray hair. And she was wearing a kind of a white satin nightgown. And apparently that's what she died in, and apparently she slept with her hair down. But whenever I saw her in life, she always had her hair up in a bun. Anyway, so my great grandmother, she pulled my feet, she woke me up. I was looking up. I kind of sat up using the headboard and kind of sat up, like, what's going on? And I didn't feel afraid. I just I didn't panic or anything that this virtual stranger was in my room. Um, I just was confused and calm but confused. And so she she stood back from the bed and she put her hands out and to the side, so kind of like that, but to the sides, on her sides, and um, her mouth kind of dropped open and her gaze like was straight across the room, not at me, but slightly above me, which was weird. Come to think of it, and then she started walking, and she started walking towards the bed, and she walked through the bed, and she walked through me. And she got halfway done. She bent over while she was halfway in. She was completely in my body and in my bed. Like, imagine like the top half, this part, above the bed. And the bottom half was in the bed and in me. It was a weird physical sensation. Um, And she walked through and she says, I'm giving you intuition. And I was 9. I had no idea what intuition meant. It didn't sound dangerous. It didn't sound like a disease or anything. I didn't know what it meant, but I looked it up when I woke up. Um, so then she straightened up and she continued to walk and she just walked through me and into the wall and disappeared. And A few hours later, the phone rang, and I instantly woke up in a flash. I knew exactly who was on the phone. I knew exactly why they were calling. I had no idea how I knew all this, but suddenly I knew everything. I just knew it was my grandma. She was calling because there was a death, blah, 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 even though I had no idea. It was the strangest thing. And then to hear my father pick up the phone and uh, basically confirm what I was thinking, uh, totally like weirded me out. It was like, wow, how could I know that? That was so strange. And so that's how I got started with my craziness and my paranormal and knowing things and watching for signs and stuff like that. Anyhow, so you could say that was my first hallucination. It was physical and it was emotional and it was olfactory. It was tactile. It was spiritual. It was a lot of things. And so I started off gangbusters with hallucinations and stuff, um, or with the paranormal, depending on your viewpoint. The next thing I remember seeing was I would see things dashing in and out of shadows um, more often. I mean, I'd never noticed it before, but I was seeing things dashing in and out of shadows a lot. That was my first generalized hallucination. It was visual. It was just little things dashing in and out of the shadows, um, showing movement, making my eye, dart from side to side. Um, didn't smell anything, didn't taste anything, didn't hear anything. Um, Then, as time progressed, they put me on medication, and it completely turned me into a zombie. So not only did I not see anything, hear anything, or anything like that, but I didn't even care to live. I was just a zombie. I was just literally a walking corpse. And I took myself off that drug on my 18th birthday, and I never looked back. Never, never. I don't do lithium. It's on my list of things that I'm allergic to. I had a really bad outcome with lithium. Um, it was one of the worst experiences of my life, I have to say. Um, I'd rather, if you can't handle me unchained, you shouldn't be handling me, quite frankly. If you think that I'm going to be happy medicated into a zombie just so I can stay quiet and be and live in your little heteronormative world, it's not going to work for me. Just not. It's not me. Um, Never going to happen. Um, then in my 20s, I started seeing, like, I was seeing ghosts. Like, I would go to haunted hotels. I would see the ghost. I could explain what the ghost looked like. I could tell you the story of the ghost without reading any of the lore. I could just tell you because the ghost would sit right across from me and tell me everything and just talk to me and I'd listen. And ghosts came to me as solid objects. They're solid human beings, like doppelgangers. They're just solid. The only way you can tell you're talking to a ghost is watch them move. Ghosts have a disjointed way of walking. Either the legs are moving too fast for the forward motion, or they're moving too slow for the forward motion. If you know what I mean. It's disjointed. It looks weird. So that's how I can always tell I'm dealing with a ghost. Just watch them move. Um, that's been my experience. So for those of you that want to know what it's like to hang out with ghosts, it's like hanging out with anybody else. They can be really funny. They can be really sarcastic. They really kind of let loose at that stage of existence. Um, they don't hold their tongues either. They'll tell you an uncomfortable truth right to your face. Have a nice day. That's been my experience with ghosts. So when you're going, if you want to go ghost talking, get ready because you're going to hear a lot of shit, and some of it's going to make you burst out loud laugh. And it's not necessarily going to be funny, but coming from them, it's absolutely hysterical. Um, it's the weirdest thing. So that's ghosts. I've been pushed by ghosts. I've been scratched by ghosts. I've been bruised, and I've had my knees kicked out from underneath me from behind by ghosts. So I, literally dropped to the floor. Um, do I think they're dangerous? No, I don't think they're dangerous. Can they hurt you? If they want, they can hurt you. I don't know if they can kill you. I know they can make life uncomfortable. And if you're so um, predisposed, they'll scare the shit out of you. That's for sure. So there's that. And that goes for the same thing with like ghost animals and all kinds of things. I've seen ghost everything. Young ghosts, old ghosts, you know, everybody always talks about the old Victorian ghost, and the old house with the long robe on and the candle and the whole nine yards. I've met like ghosts from the 70s that looked like Brady Bunch. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like ghosts come from every era. You don't have to be Victorian. It's like the Victorians didn't have like an end market on all ghosting or something like that. I don't understand that. I've never understood that whole mindset. It makes no sense to me. So ghosts can come from any period at any time. And they don't necessarily have to be dead. This is the weird thing. There's such a thing as doppelgangers. I had a recent doppelganger activity in my house a few weeks ago when I had my psychotic break. And my housemate came every afternoon while he was at work, miles away from the house. And he'd show up. Now, normally when he comes home, he screams, hello, or I'm home from the other side of the house. I'm on one end and he arrives at the other end of the house. And the doppelganger would walk down the hallway and poke his head in my bedroom and say, I'm home, and then vanish. It was really weird. So it was like him coming home every afternoon to check on me. He's alive, but we don't have that kind of personal interaction, particularly when he comes home every day. It's just like we go through a formality of making our presence known to each other because we're men, and that's just how men do things, because they're always protecting the fort. So when one's protecting the fort alone and the other one comes home, then you can share the fort protection duties, and you can ease down a little bit. So anyhow, that's just my viewpoint. So those doppelgangers, those have happened in and out of my life for probably the last 20 years, at least. Um, I had my first taste hallucination was I was drinking some water, just clear filtered water. Nothing, no bubbles, no ice, no nothing, just room temperature filtered water. And as it went in my mouth, I was thinking about, I started like I started hearing this really weird noise. So it started as an auditory hallucination. And I was hearing these voices talking, and suddenly my mouth felt like it was like it like the water turned to carrot juice, which I don't normally drink carrot juice. So you could have knocked me over with a feather with that weird shit. Um, so yeah, carrot juice was my first um, taste hallucination, and it came from unfiltered water. So we've talked about tactile hallucinations, people touching you, things touching you, poking you, waking you up. Um, those are common, at least with me, they're common. Auditory hallucinations are common, but not conversations, not whole conversations. Normally, it's normally just artificial noise, and I will ask somebody near me, did you just hear what I heard?" And I'll explain what I heard, and they can tell me yes or no. And most of the time, they tell me no, I didn't hear that. So um, then you have that awkward moment afterwards where you go, okay, well, you didn't hear it, but it was real in my world. And sorry you didn't get the extra entertainment, the extra content. I mean, that's how I look at being crazy and having hallucinations is it's like getting a whole lot of extra content for free. It's like getting YouTube Premium for no cost. There's no commercials. It's just all premium content. So if you keep your mind open, you can make the you can make the hallucinations less tormenting if you really try. If you take away the sting, if you take away the venom of hallucinations, it makes it a lot easier, and it'll give you. And if you keep a sense of humor about it too, that's really important. That's what I found. Um, I think the most extreme hallucinations. I used to get these childhood dreams where I would be like in the dark on like a wooden diving board, like an old fashioned wooden diving board. And um, I would start falling through space, just falling, falling, falling faster and faster. I could feel the air starting to resist my fall. That's how fast I would go. And I could physically feel this. And then I would hit the ground and splat. And as I did that, in the exact second I hit, went splat, and I could feel the splat, which was extremely painful. It was like one of those. It was like somebody taking a sledgehammer and like hitting you. It was stunning. Was the word I'm looking for? It was stunning. I would hit whatever it was, the ground or the bottom of whatever this dark place was, and my entire body would flex up, tense up, and literally pull myself. I would literally jump off the bed from a laying position. And those kind of hallucination dreams tormented me as a child, particularly from ages like 6, maybe 5 to 8, for about 3 years. It was really tormenting. Um, in my recent psychotic break, um, I was in the swimming pool. I've told this story, I think, to anybody that would listen. But it was an extreme experience. I got into the pool to cool off and clean off. And I was in the pool minding my own business. And I held my breath and I went under the water, and the cool pool water was like all over my head and my face, and it was just so lovely because it's so hot here in Florida. And um, suddenly my mouth started filling up with a very warm, fatty food. And the best way I can describe its consistency was like a really thick custard, like an old fashioned custard, like really thick, like uh, stand up on its own, not kind of that liquidy stuff, but the real firm, more jello like custard. Dense, really dense. Um, so I got this mouthful of this really dense custard, and my mouth kept filling up. I was underwater. I took my hands, I could feel the heat coming out from around my mouth. I could feel the cool water all over my head, and I could feel the cool water trying to cool down in my mouth, which was really very almost uncomfortably warm. And the contrast with the cool water and the hot mouthful of mystery stuff um, was bizarre. And then I had this realization: I'm underwater. My mouth is full. My nose is going to be full of water when I come up. How am I going to breathe? So I jumped up out of the water, and I did, of course, the thing only a horror would do. I swallowed. Got rid of the problem. Yeah. So I swallowed, and I could feel the stuff, the warm food going down my throat, like the whole experience. I swallowed nothing. There was nothing warm. There was no custard. I was in a swimming pool by myself. Imagine how weird that is. You're tasting, you're feeling, you have a temperature sensitivity, you have temperature contrast, you have, it was, And it's such a rare type of hallucination that my psychiatrist insisted on seeing me the very next day, not even 24 hours after it happened. So I've had like the most extreme hallucinations you can imagine. I've seen monsters. I've seen the shadow people. I've seen fairies, ghosts, um, issues, um, pompajeras, familiars, all kinds of stuff. So seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, swallowing, tactile, scratching, tickling, poking, prodding, punching, squeezing or pinching, all happened. I've had all of it. And the best thing, and people are, it's usually stress induced. And if you're really stressing out, it's going to light up, particularly me. I have like anxiety issues. I have extreme anxiety disorder. So when my anxiety gets burning, it glows like a neutron star inside of me. Like it chemically just, it irradiates my brain with chemicals. It's like having a super bright, super powerful star with extreme solar winds and everything just right inside your head. And it makes you hyper alert for everything. And you're so alert for everything that it becomes like too much to process, because it's trying to keep your anxiety is trying to keep you alive. And as long as you make peace with that it's not trying to hurt you, it's actually trying to keep you alive. And I thanked my anxiety for keeping me safe for a lot of years. Because without my anxiety, I probably would have died from a sexually transmitted disease, or been murdered in some alleyway or something else, if it wasn't for my constant anxiety and constant attention to everything. But anxiety can also overwhelm. And when it does, often the brain starts hallucinating to cope. And the hallucinations get more and more extreme if you don't treat the overdose of anxiety. You've got to there's there's ways to dial down anxiety. And the best way I've found is to go through all of your history, every memory you can possibly think of, and give it a pass or a fail. I did well with this. I didn't do well with that. And make your apologies to your spirit guides or your God or whatever you talk to, or make apologies to your pillow. It doesn't matter. Just make the apology to yourself that you could have done better, you should have done better. Now you know. Because sometimes we do things just because we're blank ignorant and you don't know better. But then you learn and then you know. So that's a big tip I've learned over 43 years of therapy. The other thing is defanging negativity. Because think of negativity like a snake bite, like a snake biting you constantly. If you take the teeth out of the snake, not only can it not bite you, but it can't inject you with venom. So you have to go back and you have to go through your traumas and dramas and everything else, and you have to defang wherever it bit you. You have to get to that point and then take the teeth out, and basically in your own mind you have to remove the teeth from the snake so you know you're safe and it's okay and you can move on. And when you do that, your anxiety lessens. And you can breathe a little easier. Not a lot easier, a little easier. Every step makes it a little better. So I hope this helps somebody. I try to speak up as best I can for the mental illness community. And everybody that's oppressed in this country, any minority, I'm a champion of. Not necessarily just because they're a minority. I don't necessarily always agree with everything they have to say, but being a minority myself, I know what it feels like. And I know that's hard to look at me and say, look, oh, white man, you're really a minority. No, I don't mean I'm a white man. I'm rare. That was not even the intention. What I'm saying is, like, I'm crazy. I'm mentally ill. I have mental illness. I have severe mental illness. I've had it most of my life. And I've navigated the world. I started working at age 9. And I worked through into my 40s, well into my 40s, before I had a complete nervous breakdown. I mean, complete nervous breakdown with 2 mental hospital visits in 2 months. So, I mean, you can't get more broken than that. And then I've broken myself a couple times since. But the one thing I did notice was that when I was really busy, I just powered through the mental illness because I was busy. I had other things to do. But then finally the mental illness matured enough to where I didn't have that strength to power through anymore. I just couldn't. It took over me. And I had a psychotic break. I mean, a complete meltdown. And if you've never had a complete meltdown, it is a white knuckles, fingernails in the dashboard kind of, oh my God, what? Like you go completely selfless. You go completely ego. It strips you from your ego. It strips you from yourself. It strips you from everything. And you just lay there like this shriveled up little naked, helpless mole rat kind of thing. And just shivering in the cold. And you have to start building your life back from literally nothing. That's when I talk about breakdowns, I'm not talking about, oh, I'm having a bad day and I want to make a little drama about it. No, I'm talking about complete breakdown to nothing and rebuild from scratch with all the conditions you had before and all the fucked up memories you have too. And you have to rebuild it from scratch. And if you want to introduce back old pain, like the first time you come back from your first breakdown, you're going to bring back stuff into your life that causes you pain and you're not even aware of it. And you're going to allow it back, only for it to surface eventually. Pain always bubbles up. It always bubbles up. And the best thing I can tell you is if you have any anxiety at all and you're always watching, do something for yourself. Listen to what people say. Listen to the words they say. Listen to the choices of tone that they take, their inflections. All of it is amazing. It will tell you so much about the conversation you're actually having, because the word exchange is not necessarily the conversation that you're actually having. If you listen, you'll find out. So, and that's what people need. They need active listeners. They need something that's going to actively engage and just make them the world. That's why people love to hang out with me, because I make them the world. I hang on every inflection, every tone, every texture. I totally absorb everything they want to give me. I don't put rules on what they want to give me. I just let them just, with no fear. I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to harm. And that's rare to find today. Because most people are just waiting to talk again. You're having a conversation, but you're really not having a conversation because they're just politely waiting for you to stop talking so they can talk again. They haven't heard anything you said. They don't care about what you said. They just have something they want to get off their chest, and they can't wait for you to shut the fuck up so they can talk and be heard, hopefully. And the worst thing is when you get two people in that condition that just blabble at each other because nobody's listening, but they're just talking. Lots of talking. And then that's chaos. It's senseless. The petty tortures we put each other through, if you sit and watch and listen, you'd be amazed. The world is an entirely different thing than what we're being fed by popular culture. I mean, popular culture gets the humor, but they don't get the everybody's nuts part of the thing. I mean, I don't mind being nuts. I don't mind the ramifications of that, because there are ramifications. People will dismiss me instantaneously if they know I have mental illness. Nothing I say, nothing I do, even if it's perfectly correct, is ever right because I have mental illness. It doesn't matter as much. I'm totally written off as useless, completely useless. It is what it is. So if you're suffering from hallucinations or mental illness, take it easy with yourself. Get away from the media, get away from news. I've just had that latest psychotic break I told you a few weeks ago, and I'm still healing up from it. And I've stopped 90%. I won't say 100% because I'm not going to lie. I have no reason to lie. I've cut out 90% of the news content that I used to consume in a day. And mostly that was reading. Um, I just can't, I can't, my anxiety, like I can't live with that level of anxiety. It's overpowering. It will kill me, literally kill me. I was having physical reactions. I was having tactile reactions. I was having extreme hallucinations. I was having extreme restlessness. I was having extreme dreams. Everything was just on fire. Like every little place you looked was just fire, 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 fire. It's like like living in the middle of an explosion. Because I was one of those rare people that took civics lessons seriously when I was taught in seventh grade. I remember civics as one of my favorite classes. I got an A. I don't get A's. I'm a C student, but I wanted to get an A in civics so bad. So I had a great teacher. So anyhow, shout out to Ensign Middle School, the CBs. Anyhow, I will talk to you later. Have a good day and be safe. Stay cool. There's a heat warning this weekend. So everybody stay sheltered and hydrated and stay safe and don't let ice snatch you off the roads. Bye bye.